What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster, and thank you for joining me for another episode of our replay battle series. This time around I have a 3 vs 2 on 3rd Age Reforged, and it is a bloody circus. This is one of the best coordinated assaults I have ever seen in a game before, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the army compositions, then we can jump right into the battle. The first army is the army of Mordor, being commanded by Bobbington. He's got 1 unit of Olokai, a couple units of Númenórean Shield Guard, some Uruk Archers. Up here he's got some Morgul Chosen. You can see them right there. Some Númenórean Shadow Guard, which is a powerful skirmishing unit that can hide just about anywhere. Very good for ambushes and the like. He's got some Orc Maulers, some Uruk Bodyguards, some Mounted Númenórean Shield Guard, some Temple Inquisitors, which are very powerful shock units with 4 HP and armor piercing. Not to be underestimated at all. Despite their low numbers, they will do a lot of damage. He's also got some Orc Raiders and some Melkor's Chosen hanging out right here. Over here we have another force from Mordor, being commanded by Elf. He's got some Mounted Númenóreans, some Olokais, some more Melkor's Chosen. We've got some Uruks here, some Uruk Halberds, some Morgul Chosen, some Uruk Archers, some dismounted Númenórean Shield Guard, a Catapult. He's also got a Mounted Temple Inquisitor unit and a Temple Inquisitor unit, a dismounted version. I believe in addition to that, he's also got some Temple Guard here. This is one of the really heavy units for Mordor, heavy archers. They have less ammunition than, say, the Númenórean Shadow Guard, which kind of suggests to me that they're meant to be used in melee, and they're definitely dressed for the occasion. He's also got some Sauron's Will, which I'm pretty sure is the entirety of his force, but the Sauron's Will are two-handed AP units with 2 HP, one of the few 2 HP units that Mordor gets available to them that is an Orc unit, not a Númenórean unit, so that's pretty cool to see. The third and final attacking army is a massive Haradrim force under the command of Di, King of the North. He's got some Mounted Serpent Guards, some Dismounted Serpent Guards, some Castamir's Chosen. He's got a couple of units of Trollmen of Harad, some Muhad Tribesmen. Everybody loves their Muhad Tribesmen. Some Corsair Savages, some Southron Pikemen, some Abrazani Nardubawi, which is a mouthful to say, let me tell you. These are like they're AP missiles, and they're also very, very able infantrymen as well. So definitely a worthy pick to bring to your Haradrim forces. And that's pretty much the entirety of his army. Oh no, of course, he's got a 1 unit of artillery over here. He's got a ballista. So let's go ahead and take a look at the defenders now. Looking to hold back the warriors of the east, we have the Kingdom of Dale. This is being commanded by Starling. He's got a couple units of Earls, and he's got a large infantry force back here. Or he's brought some Elder Vari Pikemen, a couple units of Dale Swordmasters, a large amount of dismounted Earls, some Royal Guard. This is the Dale Bodyguard unit, which of course is where his general's bodyguard is hanging out. Some Bardian Marksmen, some Elder Vari Archers, a very powerful archer force. In addition to that, he's also got a Catapult and a very large contingent of Barding Herd, which you can see right here. And to round it all off, he's got a tiny little unit here of Dalesmen, which is just so lovely. You don't see these guys in action very often. Probably a bit of a budget pick on Starling's part. Probably wanting to just spend a little bit of his remaining funds on something that could potentially be useful. Over here we have the army of Gondor, being commanded by Captain Scott. He's got 4 units, I believe, of Gondorian militia, some Gondorian archers, a very elite cavalry force. Look at this. He's got some Knights of the Silver Swan, some White Knights, and another unit of Knights of the Silver Swan. Over here is where the meat of his infantry is hanging out. He's got some more Gondor archers, a couple units of Fountain Guard, 4 units of Gondor infantry, and hanging out over here, he's got a single unit of Ithilien Rangers. So they definitely have their work cut out for them. There's some very powerful Mordor and Haradrim forces that are coming their way. I wish them the best of luck. So yeah, without any further ado, let's jump right into the replay. Harad's archer forces, the Abrazani Nardubawi, beginning to open up on what looks like the Earls of Dale. I don't know if Starling sees that they have these pikes set up here, or whatever they call it, stakes, that's the word. But hopefully he pulls back, seeing there's also a ballista well within range of those archers. This could be potentially disastrous unless these Dale Earls decide exactly what they want to do. They don't want to sit out here for too long, or they're going to find themselves shot to pieces, essentially, by all of these archer forces. But apparently he really wants a piece of these archers. Some Hashari Shadows, apparently under the command of D.I. King of D. Did not see them because they tend to be invisible, hence the shadow. Yeah, Starling now coming around here on this attacking right flank, looking to get in there amongst those Hashari Shadows, but it's just a line of stakes all the way across. This is going to prove to be a very costly mistake for Starling. This is a very bad way to lose your Earls, but it looks like he's coordinating with another unit of his cavalry, looking maybe to destroy the cavalry of Haradrim in the early stages of the game. I don't think he's going to be able to do it though. There's not enough of them, and yeah, there's not enough of the Dalish Earls here, and they aren't going to be able to punch through these guys. And even if he manages to destroy them, all he's done is really denuded Harad of his cavalry, and he's put a lot more money into his cav, I think, that Harad has, relative to their budgets, of course. But yeah, Harad kind of getting a little bit cut up in the engagement, a little bit surprising. Apparently those Dalish Earls are a lot stronger than I give them credit for. It looks like D.I. King of D looking now to get a nice rear charge, but they are driving back the the forces of Dale, who are now being surrounded. Look at this. Mordor has now brought in his cavalry. Some Melkor's Chosen looking to come in from the rear of these Earls, who are now being pinned down by Temple Inquisitors and hit in the flank by Númenórean Shadow Guard. It's really unfortunate for the Dalish cavalry. They've kind of been thrown away, I think, at this point. A little bit too aggressive, perhaps. Really needed, I think, to pull them back here and maybe look for a better opening, potentially in terms of infantry. Although, oh my goodness, Mordor just lost their general. Holy crap. Mordor lost their general. So it actually, look at that. It turned out kind of nicely for Starling. That Mordor was so unlucky that they would lose their general in that kind of way. So there you have it. That's the end of Dale's cavalry, but also the end of Mordor's general. Very unfortunate for the Mordor player. Over here, it looks like we had a bit of a cav fight as well. Bobbington bringing in his mounted Númenóreans and his Melkor's Chosen for an indecisive clash against the cavalry of Captain Scott. It looks like definitely the Gondorians took the worst of it, though. We can see a lot of dead knights of the Silver Swan here. Very unfortunate for him. It looks like, yep, Elf now bringing in some of his spearmen, his Morgul Chosen. Wow, that's hard to say today. Morgul Chosen now coming in to support the cavalry of Bobbington against the superior cavalry of Captain Scott. This is some really nice teamwork here between these two Mordor players. Love to see it. Over here, it looks like, yeah, the cavalry of Gondor are very overextended. They're being, oh wow, this one's going to turn around and kind of sacrifice itself for glory to give the other unit a chance to get away. But yeah, they're very, very overextended. They're not close enough, I think, to their lines in order to be able to leverage the movement of their cavalry. So for example, if they were over here trying to make the Mordor forces chase them, the archers on the heights would have a very nice opportunity to deal a lot of death and destruction to the Mordor forces. Oh, I see what he's doing. Look at this. He's going for these trolls. The troll catapult of Bobbington. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get them. Not going to be able to cut down any of the trolls. He did manage to get the Batterman, though, so I guess that's his consolation prize. Oh, he needs to be real careful here. If he's not paying attention, they're going to run right into those stakes. Oh, that was so close. Barely managed to get through there. Looks like he's kind of caught Bobbington with his pants down a little bit, it would seem. He's now in amongst his skirmishers, just able to do whatever he wants until Bobbington can bring in some forces to respond. I probably would have chosen a different target, though. These Temple Guard have 2 HP. I'd much rather go for the Númenórean Shadow Guard. They're a much softer target, much easier to run down. What do we got in the back here? Some Shield Guard. I wonder what he's doing. Looks like he might be going potentially for the Olokai. Oh no, he's just trying to get himself a nice charge there, but he's not going to be able to move back far enough to drop his lances. Very unfortunate for the Gondor player. Over here, though, looks like that one unit of Swan Knights, or Knights of the Silver Swan, rather, has been mopped up by the Morgul's Chosen and the Mounted Númenóreans. Very unfortunate. They've lost all of their important, expensive cav units, or most of them in any case, in the very early stages of the game. They did manage to take down some of the... Oh, wow! Did they ever? Look at this. 4 trolls now lying dead on the battlefields. Captain Scott doing his best, but unfortunately Mordor is now able to surround him. There's not going to be anywhere left for that cavalry to run to pretty shortly. You see some Mountain Númenóreans from bodyguard now coming in from the rear, gonna look to seal the fate of these Knights of the Silver Swan by cutting off any possible retreat that they may have. Very unfortunate for those two players. Over here, they can see the forces of Mordor, some of the Orc Maulers from Bobbington, now forming up, getting ready to assault this choke point. If they come up here, though, they're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. That's a lot of Gondor infantry and a lot of Fountain Guard as well. There is no pushing through these guys unless you have a lot of trolls. Over here, though, it looks like Starling has basically fallen back to this choke point here. It's a very wide area to try and defend. I don't know if he has the forces to do it. He does have a lot of really nice infantry, but they're going to be spread so thin that I don't think he's going to be able to hold down his line for any significant period of time. Especially not if potentially Mordor comes up there. If they break off a unit of trolls, they're going to be able to punch right through that. Over here, though, they've set up a very formidable defense. There's a lot of Gondor militia that will keep the Mordor forces very busy if they decide to come up this rampart, and some powerful missile units as well alongside a catapult. So that could be very deadly for the attacking forces if they decide to pursue that avenue of attack. Down here, Elf just maneuvering his Morgul Chosen, not really doing a whole lot right now. Yeah, it's a little bit of a stalemate as both sides dig in and begin to maneuver into position for an assault on that hilltop. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. I'll see you guys in just a moment. Over here now, Bobbington moving into position alongside some of his Orc Raiders, his Orc Maulers, and he's got his Orc Bodyguard in there as well. Looks like they're getting ready to assault this Gondorian position. They're going to actually attack a couple different places at once. Starling's defense now under assault. You can see these These Serpent Guard here from DI King of D moving forward to menace his archer companies who are now retreating behind his spear line. Those cavalrymen now got to pull back, not seeing any way through that formidable line of Bardishes. But look at this. A lot of missiles coming up here, and even worse than Olokai, he's brought the Muhad tribesmen. Against a unit like the Barding Herd, this is going to be devastation. If they get 1 or 2 volleys into there, that's going to be half the unit gone, and that portion of the line is going to be very easily pierceable by the much more numerous forces of Harad. He's got basically the right kind of army to push through the Dalish forces. Over here, though, looks like... Oh, yeah, we're going to see some infantry action over here pretty quickly. Bobbington now forming up his Uruk bodyguard. It's a bit of a risk. I don't know if his general is in there. No, his general is definitely not in there, not on the front lines. And Bobbington is now moving in some more of his forces, some more Orc Maulers, who have taken a little bit of a beating as they come up the hill from those Athelian Rangers up there in that very nice sniping position. Now there's some Uruk archers coming in, potentially to counter these Gondorian archers and that trebuchet, but I think Captain Scott's going to have this choke point based on what forces he has to bring to bear against the Mordor army. I think he's going to be able to lock that down really, really nicely. Over here, though, look at this. Looks like a unit of mounted Numenorians trying to get a nice uphill charge against these Gondor militia. If they can get a charge, and it looks like they're going to, oh, it's going to be devastating. Oh, they're going to punch right through those guys. Wow, look at that. Those poor Gondorian militia, they're going to crush them and be able to just run right through, piercing this formation. This is absolute disaster. So now Starling has a cavalry unit in his back lines to deal with, coming for his catapult of all things. Oh my goodness. Now would be a beautiful time for a DI King of D to move in with his infantry. Oh wow. Starling's going to try and save his catapult by pulling back some of his front line. He has weakened his flank here. I think that was probably a bit of a mistake. The incoming cavalry now from Captain Scott looking to pin down these mounted Numenorians. It looks like they're going to be able to do so. Yeah, these are the White Knights, but I think pulling these guys back was a bit of a panic move, I think, on Starling's part. Now he's got his catapults a little bit out of position. The Herodran player really needs to take advantage of this chaos right now. Look at this. More cavalry coming in from Elf. Really great teamwork that I'm seeing right here from the attacking forces. This is pretty much as good as it gets. A very coordinated assault here. Bobbington causing havoc in the back lines, and at the same time, they're moving in to distract Starling and make him pull back his archers with another assault from their cavalry from the front. Looks like that cavalry now pulling back, trying to get away from the Mountain Numenorians and maybe try to take the Temple Inquisitors on the front lines. Oh my goodness! Oh, this is a disaster! They can't push through! There's no way for them to get through! And they're going to take a huge rear charge from these mounted Temple Inquisitors. That is just disastrous for the Gondor forces. Though it looks like they are managing to cut their way out of there. I don't know what's doing all that damage to them, but perhaps it's the White Knights combined with those Barding Herd. The White Knights going to take a much more vicious charge from the Melkor's Chosen and the Mountain Numerian Shield Guard, and a lot of those White Knights now going to fall in combat. So devastating for Captain Scott's cavalry. That is really unfortunate. I don't know if they managed to... Oh no, look at this over here. The army of Bobbington still on the rampage. Sorry about that. I'm very popular today. But yes, the army of Bobbington still on the rampage in the back lines. Look at this. I think he's going to go for... Oh my goodness. This poor artillery piece really has nowhere to go. There is nothing... There's nothing that he can use to stop them. Maybe he's got some Fountain Guard here. I'm not sure they're going to get there in time. But at the same time, look at this. Look at the coordination. Bobbington, while he's doing that with his cavalry, he has already engaged the front lines of Gondor, really limiting Gondor's options. Really great play, I think, on the part of Bobbington. Oh man, these poor trebuchetmen trying to get away, but they're all just being sliced down. There's nowhere for them to go. It's going to be disastrous. And that whole unit is going to perish in a matter of seconds, and the Fountain Guard are not going to be able to get there in time in order to counter Bobbington, who now has free reign to pretty much do what he likes in the back lines. This is why you do not leave cavalry in your back lines like that. I really think that those White Knights should have focused on these guys first. You got to deal with one threat, and then you can deal with another. So I think that's a bit of a mistake on the part of the Gondor player, who now realizes exactly the kind of mess he's in, and he's trying to move back his White Knights. Which leaves Starling, unfortunately, without support. And now the lines of Dale and Harad are beginning to clash. Oh my goodness, did you see that javelin volley? Taking out a lot of those Earls. All those Muhad tribesmen there are just going to absolutely destroy the stationary formation. Oh man, hopefully those Earls can survive it, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. This Casimir's Chosen now charging into battle against his Barding Herd. This is really not a fight that they can win. The Barding Herd will do alright, I think, against Casimir's Chosen, but they are 2 HP and very heavily armored. And there's still yet more to come in, and look at this. I mentioned this earlier, how disastrous it could be if Mordor brought in some of their trolls to smash up Starling's formation, and looks like that is exactly what they are in the process of doing. Harad now beginning to pummel that formation, weakening the lines with his AP missiles from his Aberzani and Nardu Bawib, moving in now with his Trollman of Harad, looking to put the final nail in the coffin of this defense. It's really going to be down to Gondor at this point. Starling has committed most of his army over here, I think, almost the entirety of it, and there's really nowhere left for them to flee if these lines break. Over here, the Catapult of Starling not really able to accomplish too much, and they're not going to have time to really get themselves back online before the Dalesmen begin to break. And look at this, Mordor now breaking through his lines, his Barding Herd going down, being thrown all over the place by the vicious charge from those Olokai. Let's go ahead and let's take a look over here and see how Bobbington is doing against the forces of Gondor. He is slowly beginning to push through. I think this is the Uruk bodyguard. Yes, it most definitely is. They have pushed through the Gondor infantry, and now Captain Scott has moved in his Fountain Guard into the fight, and they're going to be able to slow these bodyguard down really easily. But Captain Scott has really taken some horrendous losses over here, fighting the army of Bobbington. And look at this, big hammer and anvil strike coming in here from Bobbington into the backs of these Gondor infantry, and they're just going to fall apart. Oh, that is so devastating. This one unit of Bobbington's cav has just caused so much havoc in the back lines. They're finally going to be shut down from a charge from the White Knights, but honestly, the damage is done at this point. He's assassinated so many important units. Now, about half of the remaining Númenóreans are going to fall apart right there. Yes, down to a mere 10. They're fleeing now in the face of them. The Captain Scott does have an opportunity here to shut them down with his Ithilien Rangers. He could begin to open fire on these guys, and I think that they would fall apart very quickly. They're definitely in a position to do so, but I don't think he sees the opportunity that he has right here. In fact, he had 2 units of Ithilien Rangers, and look at this. I think we missed it, but the cavalry destroyed them as well. Oh, and they're going in to finish the job. Oh, that's so unfortunate for the Gondorian players. They're really just being outmaneuvered, I think, at this point by the 2 Mordor players, and there's just so much nice teamwork. Starling now falling back, trying to get as many of his forces out of there as he possibly can. The Bardian Marksman now fleeing alongside his 2 companies of Elder Avari archers, leaving the rest of his army pretty much to die. Although, honestly, now that I look at it, they are pretty much dead already. The only thing left on the battlefield is this 1 unit of Barding Herd, about to take a huge rear charge from some mounted Númenóreans and some Melkor's Chosen. It's going to be really unfortunate for these guys. A lot of them are going to fall in that charge. If they can get these guys to stick around in combat, though, and bring the rest of the formation to bear against the Barding Herd, will do a lot of damage to these cavalry units. But it doesn't look like Elf is going to give them the opportunity. He's going to pull out his mounted Númenóreans alongside his Melkor's Chosen. Look at this. Such coordination. As soon as he pulls out to pin them down, a unit of Casimir's Chosen now coming in from D.I., King of D. This is just such a beautifully executed attack. And that's, yeah, I absolutely love it. His poor Avari Elder Pikemen down to 45, fighting Trollmen, Serpent Guard, Corsair Savages, and Pikemen. There's just nothing that they can do. They're now broken and fighting to the death. It looks like the catapults now being sniped with hyper-accurate ballista fire, managing to miss this huge blob of troops and just get dead center on their target and destroy them. So Harad now officially broken through here. It looks like these Elder Avari Pikemen now trying to push back some of these Muhat tribesmen. They will be successful in that. And oh yeah, sorry about this. We've neglected this little area over here for a while, but these Gondor militia now fighting hard against Morgul Chosen and Uruks. Not really able to do a whole lot against this kind of army, but they have, I think, done reasonably well. About 33% of the attacking forces, who outnumber them by quite a lot, have been killed, but it's just not enough. 60% of the defenders have already fallen. Maybe these Gondor militia will retreat to a position where they can be rallied, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be time. I don't think that they're going to be the decisive factor in this battle. Look at this. This poor exposed unit of Gondor archers just not able to get back there in time to form up with the rest of the army. It looks like Starling's Elder Avari archers now moving towards a hilltop position. But there's so much cavalry here. These guys are so exposed. Those Gondorian archers are not going to go anywhere. Oh, here's some of the Ithilien Rangers from Captain Scott. Doesn't look like they're doing too much right now. Oh, wow. Gondor managed to get his trebuchet back online, but they weren't able to actually hit anything before the cavalry got in there. The attacking advance is just so swift and so nicely coordinated that there's really nothing that these 2 defenders can do at this point to try and slow them down. Over here, the army of Gondor, they have actually been victorious for the most part against Bobbington's forces. This is mostly a holding force, but now he's moving in some of his better troops to finally finish off what remains of these guys. He needs to retreat. I think his Fountain Guard at this point, try and fall them back to form a line with Starling's archers. If they can if they can potentially form up here, then they may be able to hold out for a very long time. Oh, look at this. I missed a couple of units here from Captain Scott. He's got a couple units of Wardens of the White Tower. So things aren't necessarily as devastatingly awful as it would seem for the defenders, but they are still definitely thin on the ground. Starling managed to retreat some of his Elder Swordmasters. There's some skin changers as well on the part of Starling. Sorry, I forgot about these guys. New unit, not finished, 7 HP, AP, that kind of stuff. All around, a really nice shock unit. So the the defenders rather, have managed to save, I think, most of their really good forces for last. But really, it seems like the attackers are the ones who are in control of this battle right now. Over here, these poor Gondor archers not able to retreat in time. The Storm Guard now running rampant through them alongside the Olokai. Looks like the Númenor Shield Guard have broken through the lines. They were able to just scoot right through the Fountain Guard. And now the Saurons, well, putting this Fountain Guard in place, there's going to be nowhere to run for these Gondor forces who are now completely surrounded. Look at this. A huge hammer and anvil charge coming in the back here from Elves, Númenorian Shadow Guard. Or Mounted Númenorian Shield Guard, rather. Getting a nice rear charge off here and routing those Gondor infantry. Really, the only thing that's left now is this one unit of Gondor infantry who won't last for very long, and this one unit of Fountain Guard. Oh, looks like the Serpent Guard ran down what remained of those Athelian Rangers. Over here, the Gondorians have been completely routed, as the one unit of Gondor archers here they can't really do anything. They're just kind of like stuck there, frozen, paralyzed with fear, and it looks like the Serpent Bodyguard now coming into the rear of them, looking to finish them off. And that's going to be the end of basically all the defending forces down on this plateau. The defenders, through their coordination and through picking their fights really, really nicely, they have managed to basically just sweep away the first two defending positions, and now there's just a single choke point left for these forces. Looks like Starling managed to save his Elder Royal Guard. They're now firing down into either the Temple Guard or the Ballista. I think the Ballista would probably be the better target, although they may be just trying to get some nice rear shots off here on this large Haradrim infantry blob as it moves through the canyon. It's a really nice defending position here. They have some nice sniping posts, rather, but I don't think they're going to be strong enough. There's not enough of them left, really, to destroy the huge amount of powerful infantry and cavalry that Mordor has available to them. And speaking of, look at this, the cavalry of Bobbington now coming in, being very aggressive. 5 units of Melkor shows and looking to, I guess, kind of test the defenders' awareness, maybe trying to get a nice rear charge into the back of these lightly armored skin changers. That could be a huge loss for the defenders. Let's see how they react to this. It doesn't seem like they've noticed, and this doesn't seem like Starling has really noticed the danger that these skin changes are in. Looks like, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to go through. He's now turning them around. Oh, and that's wow. Oh my God! The skin changers told them exactly what they thought of that. Lost three of their skin changers in the assault, but they killed them. I've never seen a unit evaporate like that. That's hilarious. And it looks like now the attackers are just consolidating their positions and beginning to move in on the final remaining choke point of the defenders. Now I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. I'll see you guys in just a moment. Look at this long, snaking line of attacking forces as they come up this rampart here. D.I. King of D now moving his Hashari Shadows into a vanguard position, looking to pour some fire now into Starling skirmishers. Really, he doesn't have anything to worry about. They've already destroyed the defending cavalry. These Hashari Shadows are now free to basically move as they please around the battlefield. I think that's probably the most decisive thing for the attackers at this point, is that they have been able to just have freedom of movement to go wherever they want and to do whatever they want because of the early losses among the ranks of the defending cavalry. These Hashari Shadows are taking a little bit of a beating, though. They are not necessarily in the best position to be skirmishing against a very long line like that. They're kind of like, it's like a long rectangular formation, so they're just kind of getting absolutely pelted with arrows and destroyed. These very important archers, 2 HP archers, not going to be able to last too long. But look at this. D.I. King of D using his archers basically as a screen for his cavalry force. He's going to move his cavalry, and then I'm sure he's going to come up here, threaten the forces of Starling, and drive them back behind the lines. Look at this. More and more cavalry now pouring in. The attackers looking to screen the advance of this huge amount of cavalry with their archers. Even if they don't get the archers, they'll be able to just run in there and do a lot of really nice frontal charges to the front ranks of these Wardens of the White Tower. Oh, look at that. He managed to save one of his units of Fountain Guard. Well done, Captain Scott. Got 100 Fountain Guard here. That's not going to be easy to break through. Oh no, these poor Barding marksmen getting caught out in the open by the Serpent Guard. That is just so devastating for Starling. A lot of them are just going to die. There's going to be nothing that he can do about it, unfortunately. And they're going to pull out of there very quickly before the Wardens of the White Tower can react. It doesn't look like they're too inclined to break their formation in the first place anyway. That's very unfortunate there. Starling had to be a little bit quicker, I think, with pulling his archers back, because now he's definitely paid the price to the tune of about 12 or so of his archers. Look at this Fountain Guard formation about to be absolutely obliterated. Oh, wow. Did they stop them? Oh my goodness, it looks like these mounted Númenórean shield guard were expecting those trolls to just blast through that formation, and now they ended up charging into the front of Fountain Guard, who are going to cut them up, and they quickly realize their mistake, now trying to get out of there. But it doesn't look like Elf is going to be able to pull back his Melkor's Chosen at the same time, so they're now getting stuck in with the Fountain Guard. These trolls just don't seem to be able to push through the Fountain Guard, who are holding their ground really nicely. And if this keeps up, these Fountain Guard will beat these trolls, and they will beat back the cavalry, especially with some support from Starling's archers. So we're starting to see the defenders really start to push back a little bit against the attackers, which is what I like to see. Wow, the poor skirmishers of Herod down here getting absolutely cut up by the skirmishers from Starling. He's got a really nice position up there to just rain destruction down upon these guys, and a lot of them are really lightly armored. Those Hashari Shadows don't stand up very well to missiles. They have 2 HP, which helps them stick around for a long time, but once that's gone, they will fall very quickly to elite arrow fire. These Abrazounding also have taken some fairly significant casualties as well. These Servant Bodyguards trying to charge into the front of these Wardens of the White Tower, but these guys holding their ground very nicely, and it doesn't look like that's going to be too effective for them. These guys are heavily armored and 2 HP, so it's not an easy thing to break through. These mounted Númenóreans, though, absolutely relentless, looking to break through these Fountain Guard. Oh, a little bit of a lag spike there. Looking to break through these Fountain Guard. I don't think it's going to go very well for them. It looks like they're trying to do the same thing that Bobbington did earlier. Hopefully these cavalry come back and they don't make the same mistake twice. And it looks like they are actually going to be able to push this cavalry back, who's now pinned between Fountain Guard and some White Knights. So the defenders really holding their own here. We saw them get swept away in the early game, but it doesn't look like it's going to be quite so easy for the attackers this time. Yeah, they're really using up a lot of their cavalry in trying to do this. D.A. King of D getting some nice cycle charges into the front of these Wardens of the White Tower. Has not killed any of them yet. And the second line back here is going to be able to, I think, push back these Olokai. Look at this, a nice cavalry charge now coming downhill from the White Knights. We're going to get in there and just do a lot of work in amongst those Olokai. Over here, these Olokai have really started to fall apart. These Fountain Guard down to about half strength, but they are still holding on. They are still Fountain Guard. Not going to be easy to break through, even with all this cavalry. Over here, the skirmish fight really seems to be going in favor of Starling and his allies. These mortar forces looking really tired. I think a lot of them have been... they have been marching, but they're going to be tired from having to walk uphill and walk such a large distance. I mean, this is definitely going to go to the attackers. I don't think there's any way that the defenders can hold back all of these Númenóreans. However, the stand that they're making up on this hill right now, I think, is worthy of song. They've taken down some really important units from the attackers. A lot of their very expensive cavalry and their 2 units of trolls, I think, have now been pushed back. Though, now that I say that, there is 1 unit of Olokai in here in the rear, but honestly, they're not going to be there for too long. They're very spread out, fighting a whole bunch of really elite units, and yeah, it's not going to go very well for them. Over here, the Fountain Guard have now driven back the trolls and driven back the cavalry. Charge coming in here from some of the Mortar Urwiks, who are now, look at them, they're just exhausted. They're not going to do very well against Wardens of the White Tower. Oh, but the attackers have brought their artillery to bear. This is going to be the end for the defenders. This troll catapult, unfortunately, wasn't able to be wiped out by Captain Scott's cavalry, and they're now back with a vengeance, bringing their catapult up here, getting ready to start blowing some huge holes in the lines of the defenders. Oh, that's just devastating. Oh, another good shot. 2 good volleys here, taking down the Wardens of the White Tower, who were at full strength a moment ago, weathered all of the cavalry charges, but they just can't stand up to that artillery barrage. There's just no way. Over here, the defenders can see how weak this side of the line has become. This Fountain Guard now down to less than half strength, beginning to fall apart. And they're leveraging as much of their infantry in that area as possible. This Fountain Guard here still holding on. These ones over here looking a little bit worse for wear, taking a lot of cycle charges from D.I. King of D's cavalry, who are looking now to push through the lines. I don't know how well this is going to go for the Serpent Guard. I don't think they have the stamina or the HP left to really push through this Gondorian formation as it is right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like they think so either, so they're going to start to pull back now. Some of the Urwiks have been routed, so the second wave has been routed. The defenders still standing firm in the face of these overwhelming odds. Southron pikemen coming in from DI King of D, now getting themselves a little bit overextended, but it looks like Starling is doing the same thing. These Dale Swordmasters now getting a little bit ahead of themselves, charging into the Southron pikemen, but they almost managed to bait those. Oh wow, there goes Gondor's general. Holy crap, a huge shot from that catapult, taking out what remains of Gondor's cavalry and his general as well. But yeah, those Dale Swordmasters almost managed to bait those Serpent Guards back into the pike line of the Fountain Guard, which I think would have been a really nice move, a nice feint on the part of Starling if he intended to do that. Yeah, it seems that the attackers now a little bit more content to just stay back and bombard the defending line with their skirmishers and with their catapult as well. So it looks like, oh yes, that's what happened to the Gondorians. I think they tried to take on the troll catapult. They managed to get one of the catapult men, but unfortunately they lost their general in the attempt. More Haradrim infantry now coming on to this very weakened defending left flank. Starling now moving in some of his forces to try and strengthen it, since this is where the main push is coming through. These Fountain Guard, though, standing firm in the face of overwhelming odds. This is just so cool to see these guys holding their ground like this, like the very elite, very powerful unit that they are. These Casimirs chosen kind of like the dark counterpart to the Gondorians, now trying to push through the Fountain Guard, being backed up by the Dale Swordmasters and the what remains of the Avari Elder Archers, who are now out of ammunition. Up here, there is still a fair amount of defenders left. So Starling has another unit of Swordmasters, some Royal Guards, some Bardian Marksmen who are still putting fire down, and they've still got, of course, the Shapeshifters who are singing the song of their people to try and keep their morale high. This is very unfortunate. Starling now trying to plug a gap in the line here. These Casimirs chosen getting a little bit surrounded. This might start to turn around in favor of the defenders. Just such an amazing last stand here from these guys. They got swept away in the early game, and they kind of snatched victory from their grasp. But they've done so nicely here at holding back these attacking lines that you gotta clap for them. You gotta really hand it to them. They've done really well. Oh wow, a bit of a double-edged sword there. A lot of those wardens at the White Tower going down, but a lot of the Sauron's Will and the Haradrim Serpent Guard as well. But they're just gonna take full advantage of that. Look at this, beginning to pour through the gap that's been opened in there. It's really amazing. I have to say, this is some of the best coordination on the part of the attacking forces I think that I have ever seen. Over here, the Casimirs chosen now have broken through the Fountain Guard spear wall. They are still standing strong, still trying to drive them back. The Casimirs chosen have taken a lot of damage in the attempt, but I think they're going to be able to establish a firm foothold here on the defending left flank, and that's going to be the end of the defenders as we know them. Starling now sees what is happening, throwing in some of his Swordmasters, some of his final reserves to try and push back the Casimirs chosen. But their push now, their gains are now being consolidated by the Númenórean Shield Guard, a huge number of them, alongside some Temple Inquisitors. Look at this. The final assault here from Mordor, looking to break through what remains of the defenders. Looks like the Shapeshifters now have been committed over here to try and drive back the Serpent Guard, which they have done quite nicely. They've managed to plug that gap a little bit, but some Trollmen now managing to muscle their way through the lines of the Wardens of the White Tower. Very, very unfortunate for the defenders, they have done so well. They have killed almost 20, I think, % of the army, or 25% of the attacking army just in this area alone. So hats off to them. And there's still more to come. Starling now committing his Royal Guard to the fight. These Bardian Marksmen having a bit of a struggle here against these Trollmen. It's not going to be an easy fight for them, but the Bardian Marksmen I think will hold on for a little while. These Royal Guard looking to move in alongside the Shapeshifters, looking to support them against a huge push from the Haradrim. And look at this. The Fountain Guard alongside the Swordmasters have all been swept away. The Swordmasters just this thin line of blue and gray, trying to hold back what remains of the Casimirs chosen and the Númenórean Shield Guard. They are doing pretty decent. You can see some of the Númenórean Shadow Guard going down in combat, but it's just not enough. Over here, a small pocket of Fountain Guard still remains, still fighting hard. This very elite unit always fights to the death. They will not give up, especially not against Black Númenóreans, their dark cousins from the south. Let's take a look at this. Look how many of the attackers now swarming against this remaining defending position. 96% of the attackers have fallen to 54% of the attacking forces. Oh, wow. Oh, goodness. That's just so devastating. Although I think he managed to take down more of the Trollmen than he did of anything else. These Royal Guard fighting hard, trying to drive back the Trollmen. It's just not a fight that they can win. There's just not enough of them. I think those Bardian Marksmen are now routing, but they're going to fight to the death around the Royal Guard, so that Could have definitely gone worse for the defenders. But yeah, this battle is definitely going to the attackers this time around. So many attackers have died, though, trying to assault this final position. They had very limited troops, and I think that they used them very well. Starling managed to manage his reserves very well. He was paying attention to what his infantry was doing, and oh wow, that's just devastating. But he was paying good attention to what his infantry was doing on these lines, and pulled them back to save them, and then threw them back in the right place at the right time when they were needed. It's just unfortunate that they weren't able to present a united front. The General of Dale now going down. They weren't able to present a united front, and they really chose their battles very poorly, I think, which allowed them to be outflanked. Oh wow, devastation on the part of the attackers, just doing so much friendly fire. Look at that. Now 60% of the attackers have been killed. 2/3 of their army almost. That, I think, is very impressive given how outnumbered and how outgunned they were, especially in terms of quality of infantry. Oh, that's very lucky on the part of the Serpent Guard. That's about as lucky as you can get. Yeah, the attackers now heedlessly firing into that blob, and there you have it. Both of the defenders were completely destroyed. They managed to do not too terribly. Captain Scott getting 1,600, almost 1,700 kills, alongside Starling, who almost got 1,600. The attackers killed much less, but there was much less kills to go around. But yeah, great game to everybody involved. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you again on the battlefield. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!